Welcome back to Big Mama's house, y'all. We are continuing our series here about the Sister Wives book, Becoming Sister Wives, the story of an unconventional marriage. And this is going to be chapter 4 about Robin and Cody. I apologize. I'm going to try to go through this as quick as possible. I know there's a lot, but oh, guys, it just compounds every chapter. And one thing that I'm going to put out here ahead is that they always speak in generalities. They only allude to things and they never get specific. I hate that. Don't mention it unless you're going to give me all the gory details because I need them. It's who I am. Okay. Robin starts out by saying, I was raised in a polygamous family. So 3 of them at some point in their childhood were, well, I guess 4 of them, including Cody, had parents who either were or switched to the polygamous sect of the Mormon church. And I always wondered, I don't remember a lot of Robin's family being on the show or even really being mentioned. So where are they? And why aren't they around very much? That's an interesting question. And she says, we struggled right from the start with her first marriage. Shortly after her son was born, I knew without a doubt that I wanted to have sister wives. Why? Was it because you wanted someone to help you raise your children because you're lazy? Was it, tell me why. Why, after your son was born, did you suddenly realize that you wanted to have sister wives? That's a little strange to me. And she says, my marriage didn't last long enough to bring a second wife into our family. Why? If your marriage was so terrible and you were thinking about maybe escaping it, would you even think about bringing another woman into that situation? That makes 0 sense to me too. Did you think it was going to fix things? Because I can guarantee you adding another personality with their own issues and wants and needs and everything, it never really helps. And she says, what started off as unstable disintegrated into something destructive. Like what? What was unstable and what was destructive? I want to know. These generalities that Robin lives in make me nuts. These little mentions of things that are relevant, that are pertinent, especially if you think clinically as far as what we're looking at, more of the psychological aspect of their personalities and their lives and the decisions they made. It's definitely relevant. And she says, both my marriage and its collapse were incredibly difficult for me. I suffered a lot of pain and hardship. Like what? Again, generalities. Tell me what happened. I had been badly mistreated and misled by my ex-husband. In what way? Really? What way? Tell us. She said, while I knew that he was the source of a lot of my grief, part of me still believed that I was a failure because I hadn't been able to make my relationship work. See, that there, I totally get. Because my first marriage ended no matter how much I tried and how much I begged and how much, I fought for it. But if the other partner isn't willing to change or grow or even admit that they were wrong in any way, it's not going to work. So I get that part. But I want to know specifically what caused all these issues. The aftermath of my marriage left me feeling vulnerable and used, as well as exposed and helpless. I felt betrayed. I needed to regain my confidence and my inner strength to ensure that I would never be mistreated again. Just coming to that realization and everything, if you're really an abuse victim, okay, I don't know, everyone's different, and I get that, and if she was truly, truly abused, hit or whatever, or even verbally abused, it's not easy for an abuse victim to overcome those things, and it seems how was she betrayed? How was she mistreated? I need to know that so that I can have a better perspective of what's going on. And the next couple of pages will reinforce the need for that. Okay, just hang on. She says, I invented an alter ego who became my protector. Her name was Shira, and she represented my tougher, bolder side. She helped me protect the softer, more sensitive parts of my psyche. She built a wall around them so they wouldn't be battered or bruised. It was against my nature to throw away the kindness and caring, but I developed this mechanism to shield them. She put up a fortress around my vulnerabilities and developed a hard and penetrable side so that I wouldn't fall for anyone's tricks again. What tricks? What are you talking about? This it makes no sense. Explain to us what the hell. What the hell you're talking about? What? And I'm sorry. Clinically speaking, this Shira that she conjured, I mean, is it supposed to be like a multiple personality thing? Because that's very, very specific. You know what I mean? Like, and she was going to say, we'll talk more about Shira here in a minute, but that's very scary to me. Not scary necessarily, but it's not healthy, because if you have different personalities to help you, or personas or whatever, that's not dealing with anything. That's just hiding from it. And those issues are going to come back and repeat on you for a very long time. She says, my dates would be more like job interviews than romantic encounters. I wouldn't care the least bit what my husband looked like. None of the superficial stuff mattered to me anymore. My husband could be old or young, fat or skinny. I couldn't care as long as he was a good man and a good husband. So, you're willing to tie yourself for eternity to a man that you're not attracted to just because you want to be taken care of. That is kind of gross. I don't know. I don't know. Then she has a cousin that goes to the Browns church, and of course that's how she met Cody. And he was smiling and laughing at ease with himself and others. All of a sudden he looked up and our eyes met. I'm not exaggerating when I say I felt as though I'd been shot through with a bolt of lightning. Wow. Really? All the men there, okay. Says, her cousin introduced her to the Browns, and she fought to suppress the memory of that electric sensation that I felt in church a month earlier. I focused on Mary instead. She was sweet and engaging. So she's standing there being actually introduced to Cody and Mary, his wife, and all you're thinking about is the little Thunder Down Under that you were thinking about. I mean, that's gross. And I know that's normal in their culture, in their lifestyle, but if someone was standing around trying to figure out how to get with my husband, I would beat her ass. Okay, that's me. I'm old school. I grew up in the days when fist fighting in the street and whatever was a normalized thing, and I would beat a bitch down. I don't care if I was at church. That's just gross. I'm sorry. It's just gross. Anyway, she said, I had been married to the son of a very prominent family. Again, so just like Cody, she married someone with connections looking to get taken care of. And Cody thought that Christine's connection could help him move along in the church faster or whatever. And she says, so everyone knew that she was divorced, whatever, because her husband was from a prominent family. And she says, but my mother insisted that I get my scent out there. This is the way you're raising your daughter. That's gross. I don't even know what else to say about that. That's the way she put it, and it's in quotes. That's gross. I'm a mother. I believe that, I try to encourage my kids to have a healthy social life, to get out there and whatever. But no, oh, ew. Okay. So she says, at this dance, I ran into Mary. She immediately rushed over and started talking to me. She was so friendly and sweet. Okay, so Mary, who has been in this church like most of her life now, she knows pretty much everybody, but nobody knows her because, she's very shy and awkward and kind of stays in the shadows until Cody came along. But all of a sudden, she's rushing over in such a little chatterbox because Robin is so magical and amazing. I don't know. And so, Cody asked her to dance. And Cody and I started dancing. We were immediately at ease with each other. And then it goes on and on about how, there was a magical moment. And she says, I was curious about Mary and wanted to get to know her better, but she was very quiet. Okay, yes, thank you. But yet, a few paragraphs before, she rushed over to you and was chatterboxing with you. What? You people, you need to get your story straight before you put it down on print. And, I know you can't keep your story straight on the show because, there's so much bullshit. But, in a book, you would think that maybe you wouldn't contradict yourself, at least within the same page. Just saying. Cody's perspective. It's all about how Mary and Robin supposedly got along so much, and about, he says, I was nervous because Robin was divorced, and divorce can bring a lot of technical difficulties in terms of blending families and raising another man's children. Well, remember back in the beginning with his thing with Mary, he said he would never marry a divorced woman because of the children and all the drama that it brings. And he goes, but the stirring I felt around Robin changed this almost right away. His stirring. Okay, we all know what you're talking about, Mr. Cody Brown. You're gross. And he says, I couldn't deny the spark I felt. Not the kind of spark you feel in your loins, but something deep and transcendent. I guess you could call it love at first sight. Again, you're putting this in print for the whole world. How do you think that makes your other wives feel? Right? Yes, you say you had a love affair with Mary, and Janelle was more of a, oh yeah, you're cool, let's hang out, we're good buddies. And then Christina was like, oh, well, your family's connected, and that might help me in my little journey here, so I'll marry you. But with Robin, he really goes out of his way to make everyone know that she's his one and only. And that, on one hand, really makes me sad for the other wives, but on the other hand, it really pisses me off for them. Why would you be okay with this? You know what I mean? And no wonder you had issues with her and him and their relationship all these years, because 13 years ago, he fucking put it in print. I mean, you can't really deny it, right? Okay, so that night, him and Mary were, fangirling over Robin, and he says, we stayed up for 2 more hours talking about her, and despite our minor agreements, our family was stable. All my wives were happy, our children were happy. We had arrived at the place we'd been dreaming of since I married Christine. And again, at this point, I think he'd been married for a total of 15 or 16 years at this point. So again, he's older, a little bit older, and hopefully a little bit more mature, but we all know he's not. But at least, the wives had gotten into a place where they were, at least civil, I hope, that's what it seems like. And he says, it seemed impossible to me that she wouldn't have attended my congregation in the hopes of seeing me again. Okay. Gross. Just gross. Gross. Okay. Okay, I'm skipping over the next part of Robin's because it's just more, oh, Cody this and blah, blah, blah. So we're back to Cody again. And he says, I still hadn't told Janelle about Robin. Okay, again, don't you talk to the people you live with, sir? I know every third night you're with Janelle, right? Don't you speak to her about anything important in your life? Do you not? I mean, that it's shameful. What is the matter with you? And he goes, I would need their consent to court Robin. Sure, what consent? Because we all know that Christine was jealous as hell. And Janelle was like, how are we going to afford this shit? Because we ain't got no money. And Murray was just like, okay, sure. She'll be my replacement so I can get the fuck out of here because I don't like you anymore. I'm sick of you and all your wives and your kids, and I can only have one, and it makes me sad every day. Sorry, guys. This book is really, it's just getting me a little agitated. And so, he says, when I finished talking, Janelle had a surreal experience. She was overcome with emotion. She put her hand over her chest and said, "Oh my goodness, there's something special about this. This is supposed to happen." Tears welled up in her eyes. She says she felt a burning in her bosom. I'm like, does this sound like Janelle to anyone at all? I mean, I love Janelle, but she's more pragmatic, more intellectual. Like, she likes to think things through more than an emotional reaction most of the time, it seems. So for this to happen, I'm like, either Janelle was a very different person, okay, or she's very, very different in private, or this is a complete exaggeration. And considering the rest of the book, I'm kind of leaning towards the exaggeration, because he just wants everyone to think that it was this magical thing ordained by God. And I think it was ordained by the little Cody in his pants. But just saying. He says, I had told Christine about Robin the night after the dance. Christine is such a warm and inviting person. I knew that she would go out of her way to welcome Robin. Which, and as we saw in the show, she did. She really, really tried her best to make her feel welcome and to include her in things. And he goes, I was smitten. Wow. Must be, I don't know. Okay, this is Robin's side of it. At this barbecue that he was throwing to have her get to know everybody. She says, everybody was staring at me, especially Janelle and Christine, who'd never met me before. Luckily, Mary was friendly and sweet. In fact, she stuck by my side as if she were laying claim to our friendship. And she says, I'm not the type of woman who chases married men. Yeah, you are. Because what do you think you're doing right this very minute at this barbecue? You're chasing a married man. Oh my God. She says, Cody said that he felt electricity between us that night, but I was working hard to prevent any connection. Okay. I have ideas about this. We'll talk about it later. And she says, I fell in love with Cody's family before I fell in love with him. So Cody's smitten, and it's love at first sight, and he can't contain the spark and the connection. And she's just like, meh, yeah, you're okay. You take good care of your family, and, you don't seem like you're an abusive dude or anything like that. So, and you've got supposedly money, because she talks on and on about how there were 3 convertibles in the driveway, and this big house that everybody has their own apartment. And so she's like, oh, they must have money. My opinion, just saying. Okay, back to Cody's ideas here. So while Robin was telling everyone all about, the adults, about her marriage and everything that went wrong, Christine leans over and got right in her face. So do you think our husband is cute or not? See, that sounds very Christine to me. She's jokey and, tries to put people at ease with humor. And seemed to me like she was trying to facilitate a little honesty here to see, like, where she was leaning. But Robin is a weirdo who does not take a joke. And he says, Robin didn't know Christine well enough to understand that she was joking. Robin explained that this sort of decision was left up to God and what he thought was right. Whether or not she thought I was cute was immaterial. Okay. Right. Because she already said, I don't care. You could be old as hell. You could be fat and ugly. As long as you can take care of me. And I have sister wives, so I don't have to fuck you every day. Just like once a week or so. I can do that. That's okay. I can handle one night a week. It's fine. And he says, her answer took the wind right out of my sails. I'd been hoping she would confess to the same electricity I'd felt when I was with her. I was deflated. I was despondent. I was not just smitten with her, but in love. So from the beginning of this barbecue, he was smitten. At the end of the barbecue, he's madly in love. And he says, now I realize that I'd have to court her affection. Court her affection. Isn't that what you're supposed to do? when you're courting, Cody? Isn't that why it's called courting? I don't know. So at the end of this this section, it says, he says, Robin, do you want to see if we can get to know each other better? And she says, maybe, but I'm not asking anyone's permission. This meant she wasn't going to approach her father or the church leaders. All the hard work had fallen to me. She was not going to make things easy for me. Well, that's a first, okay? She's playing hard to get here. I mean, this whole thing where she's like, no, maybe, I don't care. She's playing hard to get. She knows he's into it. She knows he wants it. And she can't be too, interested because, that would, you want to, have him follow you and need you and want you until he's going crazy. And that way, as she already said, she won't seem needy or desperate. She's got options. She's fine on her own. She's an independent woman. But, guess if you really, really want me in your family, I'll consider it. Maybe. So Robin's part here, she says, so I was especially careful not to give the impression that I was desperate to remarry. She straight up says it. She's playing hard to get. And she says, eventually Mary convinced Cody to talk to the church leader. If he was so in love with her, why didn't he go on his own right away? Why did he need pushing or convincing or whatever? If he was so madly in love with her and wanted her to be with him, why didn't he take the initiative? I don't understand it. And she says, this is an important step in our faith for several reasons, one of which is so that the church can make sure that a man has pure intentions and is not simply wife chasing. Cody was uncharacteristically shy about approaching the leader, but when Christine and Mary accompanied him to the meeting, Cody was immediately given permission to talk to my father. Cody Brown is shy? Bullshit. Cody Brown is lazy. That's all it is. And the fact that Mary and Christine had to go with him, I guess maybe it looked more like, the whole family was into it and, wanted her to join the family. I don't know, but it makes no sense. I mean, do you guys understand this any more than I do? And then lastly, in this part, she says, during this process, we were very chaste. We never hugged. We only held hands a couple of times, and that was in order to say a prayer. Wow. Yeah, there's so much to unpack with these people. Okay, Cody's perspective. Things were so tough that I was considering selling my car. I didn't have 2 nickels to rub together, but I was still considering courting this amazing woman. I was certain that God would find a way for me to bring Robin into my life. My wives were all excited for me. Christine had received a more intense spiritual witness that Robin should marry me than she had received about her own marriage. Okay. So, I don't understand. All of these people claim to have these feelings and these witnesses, but when we start watching the show, I mean, it did not take Christine long for the jealousy to start. I mean, obviously, at that time, she was hugely pregnant with Truly and then giving birth, and her old man's running around kissing other women and that he wasn't even married to, and it's a lot. I mean, she was going through a lot physically, emotionally, her hormones were everywhere, and to be swept aside when you're pregnant with a man's child for another woman, God, no wonder she's fucking jealous. I would have shot him in the face. Please, people, I do not condone gun violence. It was only a figure of speech, but I would have beat his ass for sure. Okay, he says, on our first date, he told her he loved her. Aww. On their first date. Crazy. Robin says, some of my sister wives were more interested in the sisterhood than in the husband. Well, we know Janelle said that at first because, again, that's just how she feels about it. And we also know that Christine wanted sister wives because, that was, what her grandmother had said was so great about it. And And she said, I knew that I needed a man whom I loved, trusted, cherished, and adored. Wow, that's a... Why is it, why is it different? Why can't everyone have that same thing, despite wanting the sisterhood? You know what I mean? And it's not that they wanted it more than the husband. It's just that maybe they knew that they would have to share, and so that they didn't get hurt, so they weren't trying to like be completely 100% invested in something when someone can only give you, 33 or 25% back depending on how many wives he's got. I'm not sure. I would love for someone to write a real tell all book, not just a tell some book. Okay. And then we're almost done with this chapter here. Last bit is about Cody, and he says, Robin told me that an older and esteemed man in our faith had called to inquire about courting her. Yeah, and I think that was a big fat lie. Everyone, because of Cody being so active in the church and knowing that he already had 3 wives, everyone would know that she was courting him. Everyone would already know because the church had to approve it. Her father had to approve it. It's a known thing. So why would someone inquire about courting her? I think that was just a jealousy move to kick Cody in the butt to get him to move faster. And I think if that's the truth, Robin was very, very smart, and she played him like a very expensive fiddle. Last bit here, he says, when Christine and I got engaged, she told me she wouldn't kiss me until we were at the altar. After we were married, she realized she had made a mistake and made me promise that if I married again, I'd kiss my next wife before we said our vows. So he kissed Robin. And I think that came out in the show as a little bit different. She was very, maybe a kiss on when you're getting engaged is acceptable, but he was kissing her all over the damn place. It was all over in every episode, and it's when you have beliefs like hers of being, it would be a personal insult, I think, for her. And not only that, but she would worry about maybe his soul, and then we're, going to heaven because he was breaking church rules. Now, after this section, there are a lot of pictures in the book about, like, when they got married, them just hanging out with their oldest kids who were born at the time, some and the last one is a big family picture of all the ones that were born at that time. And I believe the last one born was Solomon, because she's holding baby Solomon, so Ariella has not been born yet. That is the end of part 1 of the book. The next one is part 2, and it is called Sorority, and we will get to that next time. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you are maybe learning a little bit about each wife and Cody, and figuring out maybe some of their behavior and things make sense when you understand where they come from. And that's my entire point. So, you guys, please be safe, be kind, okay? Wear your seatbelts, use your turn signal, and spay and neuter your pets. Bye.